were part of the birth of Ripple?
So when we looked at Bitcoin, I think a lot of people in the community thought that the proof of work was like the secret sauce or the magic element in Bitcoin. And what I and a few other people, Jed McCaleb, realized this first, is that, and that was a key insight of his that led to the formation of the XRP ledger and ultimately Ripple, was his insight that proof of work was not the secret sauce. The secret sauce of Bitcoin is that all of the state information is public. The ledger is completely public. You can see every transaction, every balance, everything is public. And what that means is that you don't have to take anybody else's word for anything. Like if someone submits a transaction, you can check if it's valid. You can figure out what it does all by yourself. And that was the sort of decentralization magic, and that proof of work was just the way that it solved the double spend problem. The idea that, if I have one Bitcoin, what if I try to send it to two different people? How do we figure out which one? And that kind of led to this idea that there might be other ways to solve the double spend problem that might have different characteristics from Bitcoin. They might be cheaper, they might be faster, they might be worse, but they might be better for some use cases. And this idea that we should try to explore, I guess an analogy I sometimes use is if you discovered an alien artifact and it did something amazing, like the first thing that you would try to figure out is how does it do that amazing thing? Does it have like something? You guys have probably seen Black Panther, right? Like they have a metal that doesn't exist anywhere else in the world, and that's how they do all this magic stuff. So does it have some secret thing that nobody else has? Is it an incredibly clever arrangement of parts that we understand and sort of take it apart and then think, well, how else can we put those parts together? What else can we use that secret sauce for to solve other problems? And I think that effort has blossomed to now we have, something like 1,000 blockchains and 1,500 assets, and sure, a lot of them are garbage. But I mean, that, to be fair, but
voting, so I'm guessing there's a lot. Let's see. Oh, this one has been voted up a lot. It's new. Do you see real-world payments as a use case? For example, buying tacos and beer at South by with crypto.
That was the first use case that I think, if you look at the Bitcoin white paper, Satoshi's very first blockchain, he said peer-to-peer digital cash, which seems to be focused on that sort of real-world retail payments. And my answer is eventually yes, but maybe never directly on a blockchain because of those scalability issues, maybe through layer 2 scaling systems like Lightning or layer 3 scaling like Interledger. I think that's the obvious use case, but I'll tell you why I think that it's the wrong way to look at crypto to say, like, is it ready for that? If you look at, let's say, the growth of the internet, or even if you look at the growth of physical goods transport, like physical goods transport, it was shipping containers and it was trucks. These are not retail delivery things, right? If you look at the internet, it was the military, it was universities, and then it was big information providers. Like these are not really retail information cases. I think we have to have a mature ecosystem before we can target those retail systems. I'm not a big believer in the bottom-up strategy. I know this separates me from many, many other people in the space. And I don't think they're wrong to try it. I wish them all the luck in the world. If they're successful, that's great. But I think if you look at the history of the way similar technologies have developed, that bottom-up strategy is going to be limited to a small number of enthusiasts. Like look at the internet. The internet was limited to a small number of enthusiasts who were willing to edit DOS batch files and use non-graphical tools until it reached a certain point where there were major information service providers. American Airlines had a website, and they had graphical tools, and it was mature. But no one's going to build a mature ecosystem for nothing in the expectation that at some future point it'll be ready for retail adoption. You need a path to get there, and we're on that path. We're just earlier on it than I think most people think.
I think in the long term that the intrinsic value of XRP should be tied to the success of Ripple, or can they be completely independent?
I would expect it to tie to the success of the ecosystem, which would include projects like Ripple and Forte and Coil. But I don't know how rational that expectation is, or whether the price follows rational expectations. It's quite difficult to tell. Again, at least for the last year or so, the performance of every major cryptocurrency doesn't seem to relate. An interesting point is the only events that have been proven to be correlated with the price of cryptocurrencies is exchanges. So there used to be the Coinbase effect. When Coinbase would list a cryptocurrency, you would see a huge spike in its price. And then you would see team news, whether it comes from things that Ripple are doing or things that Consensus is doing or other major projects, and there's no movement in the price. So either people think exchanges are like the gatekeepers of success of the ecosystem, or the prices are irrational. I don't know. I wish I did. It's something that we look at and try to understand, and we basically keep throwing our hands up. It's actually pretty frustrating to not understand, a marketplace that These projects are not dependent on the prices of their tokens. It's not like, Ethereum fails if the price of Ether goes down, or XRP is a failure or a success if the price goes up or down. That isn't really about, like, does it produce a product that meets a use case? But it definitely feels like a success metric to people in the space, and it kind of feels demoralizing when the price goes down, and it feels good when the price goes up. So I wish we did understand it.
What are some of your pet peeves?
Your history is basically that you co-founded Ripple, and then you moved on to co-found Stellar because of certain differences in opinion, philosophy differences that you wanted to operate the platform on. So can you tell us what the key differences are between Ripple and Stellar? Because a lot of people think of these two as the preferred platforms for the financial services industry.
Yeah, right. So what we're trying to build at Stellar is an internet-level protocol, and I think it's important that be done by a nonprofit entity. Like, if you imagine the internet created by a for-profit company, we would just be in a very different world. And that's essentially what we're trying to do, is make it where payments works, how information works on the internet now, where everything's interoperable, you can send money to anywhere. And so you kind of just need this kind of governance and structure that wasn't really done in Ripple. And kind of beyond that, it's important to have lots and lots of participants in the network, not just a few. So one of the things that we're doing at Stellar is distributing the underlying asset, the underlying coin, like, very widely. And I think that that's kind of a key thing to actually make these things successful.
I mean, one of the interesting things is that one of the just sort of the forces within the crypto community is this notion that things should be decentralized, right? And the case is made that Ripple is a much more centralized sort of platform because it's got and it seeks to partner with some of the biggest financial institutions out there, where Stellar is nonprofit and sees itself as less centralized or decentralized. Tell us why that is an advantage from a user standpoint, or from a bank standpoint, for instance, who wants to operate something on the platform. Why is that an advantage?
Right. I mean, it's less. That's more of a technical consideration. Like, technically, the consensus algorithm of Ripple lends itself to it's very hard to run nodes outside like Ripple Labs. Like, so they're running the majority of the nodes, which it should be concerning for people, right? Because basically you're ended up with a system that's no better than Swift or PayPal, one of these centralized systems. The real vision here is that you have a network, much like the internet, that anyone can participate in. There's not one central entity that could kind of decide that it's going to start charging, or just
right.
Start to that should be of utmost concern to people. Like, this is the way that this thing can actually grow. And reach ubiquity. Like, the only other kind of network we've seen do that is the internet, and it's important that it is open. Like, that's the key component, and distributed. So,
Jed, unfortunately, we're out of time today. We hope you come back to Fast Money. We'd love to hear from you again. Jed McCaleb, the co-founder of Stellar. Time for the final trade. Tim.
Where there's lots of different financial institutions, payment networks, and currencies, and they don't interoperate. And Stellar is a way to bridge all of that and make everything interoperable and much more seamless, and make money flow a lot easier than it does now. It was, I would say, inspired by Bitcoin and blockchains in general. It has a very different consensus algorithm, so it doesn't rely on mining. It allows you to store any kind of asset inside the network, so dollars, euros, Bitcoins, shares of a company, anything like that is natively representable in there, and there's a built-in exchange that can trade these things. So you're able to do lots of things with it, but it's tailored mostly for cross-border payments.
You've been in the space for about 3 months or so, something like that?
A bit longer, yeah.
Maybe in your perspective, what happened in the last year? What have changed, basically? In this 2017, it was a big, obviously, hype, and things kind of calmed down. In 2019, I think the visitors left, and a lot of the people that were here originally are still here, and they're coming up with innovative ideas. What, in your perspective, kind of what changed in the last year? Yeah,
I mean, I think everyone who's been involved in this industry for a number of years is still waiting for, like, the first use cases to be built, and it seems like it's taking a long time. And it's for me personally, it's been frustrating to like obviously there's a lot of hype and a lot of excitement, but where is the actual use by people in the world other than speculation, which I think is fine, by the way. But it would be cool if people were doing stuff with beyond that. And so for us, like, over the last year, we've really been focusing on what we need to do to make the first real world uses of it, of Stellar. And we've kind of moved away from trying to get other people to build on the platform. I mean, we still encourage that, but we've realized that we actually need to take a little bit more of an opinionated view and like build the first real applications that people can use on Stellar. And we'll have some announcements about that along those lines shortly, and we're pretty excited about those for sure. So,
welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And guys, please like and subscribe. If you do like what you're listening to, please inform your friends and family. It's a very imperative time we get back to learning finances and learning how the world really works. Now, basically, guys, I want to thank those who purchased the book, Cryptoteacher and NWO book. Also, those who have donated to the channel, Patreon, Cash App, much love. Basically, going over Bitcoin first. Basically, we have, of course, I went over Friday and Saturday, the institutional investors coming on the weekends. And, of course, we normally take a leg down on Monday. But the fact is that we had CME and BITMEX close last Friday also. So basically you will see that leg down for probably a few days. And then of course, once that is over, we get the leg up. Now, of course, what I teach you about the indicator is that stable coins basically let you know whether the market is going to go up or whether it's going to go down. Until that changes, but right now that is the key indicator. Now, going over the videos with Jeb McCaleb and David Schwartz. Guys, those are the great minds of the crypto economy, the ecosystem. Now, going over XLM, a lot of people like to compare XLM with XRP. You need to buy either or. Basically, both of them are going to have a footprint in this new ecosystem. So if you want to buy both, that's fine. I don't buy XRP. I trade XRP. I do hold a bag of XRP and I hold a bag of XLM. But the fact is that XRP I have more, trade now. I don't purchase anymore. But the fact is that XLM is basically created for the masses. It's cross-border payments, and like Jeb said, basically he's integrated. You can do stocks, bonds, stable coins. He almost let the cat out of the bag that almost said that's what XLM was created for as a stable coin, but he hurried up and cut himself off. But with XRP, of course, that's for global payments. That's the reason why Jeb left. It's more centralized. It's for the banks. So the fact is that basically with XRP, XRPL is definitely going to have a footprint in this new economy. Plain and simple. Now, of course, people like to think the price is going to go, 100, 200, 500. I definitely disagree. I think it's going to have a set price. You have to remember that banks are going to be buying this. So, of course, they're not going to buy a lot for that. The whole point of XRP is to cut the price down. So I don't see how you cut the price down by having to pay for something expensive. That makes no sense to me. But people like to think that. But David Schwartz said something very important, is that he stated that, like I went over the video yesterday, that Bitcoin Lightning is building that second layer for the micropayments. And the fact is that it comes with, of course, the Lightning Network wallets. So the fact is that basically everybody is going to have a Lightning wallet. That's plain and simple. They're not building all these institutions. And if you look at Bach, the video that I did yesterday, Samson stated that Bach is taking all this information from all the exchanges, and that should let you know that they're taking all this data to build this ecosystem. So guys, make sure that you're, just like I said, not having an emotional attachment to these cryptos. Your focus definitely should be on making money, finding out the actual cryptos that actually are going to make a change in this new digital economy. Because like David Schwartz says, like I've been saying, a lot of these cryptos are garbage, and the fact is that only 1% is going to remain. Remember, if Bitcoin had got scaled like it was supposed to be scaled, a lot of these altcoins would not exist. So that's the reason why once they turn that switch on for Bitcoin Lightning, the Lightning Network, that's going to destroy the majority of the altcoins. It's going to destroy the purpose. But getting into more digital news, we had Chris, the senior counsel for U.S. commodities futures, say that they're ready for the digital dollar. So we know where this system is moving all across the globe. The central banks want to get to this digital currency because, of course, what? They want control. They want to tax everything. They want to see everything that you're doing. So I go over this on plenty of other videos. Now, we have McDonald's, Starbucks, Subway, American companies testing Chinese yuan. Why would China even let America test their currency? Why? Because this is a global initiative, guys. Plain and simple. This is about money and power. So, like I stated, China is going to rise, hyperinflation. America, we're going to go through hyperdeflation. As you can see, 26 million people out of work. But the fact is that right now, the U.S. dollar is strong. Guys, if you have money, take advantage of it. The emerging markets are cheap. You know, China, 7-1, close to 8-1. You can go over there and spend your money on those stocks. So therefore, when they do rise, you can take advantage of it. That's where all the money is at. The only thing you have to do is listen to Peter Schiff. Look at all the money is in Asia. That's where all these big corporations are putting their money at. That's where you should be going to. The U.S. stock market, even though it took a L, a lot of these stocks are expensive. You can go over to the emerging markets and pay a third of that and make a whole lot more money. But of course, you will have some, of course, American stocks that are going to make it through the storm, and I've been over that several times. Now, going over these public companies, taking all this money from the small companies as far as with the stimulus package, that makes no sense. Right now, they're talking about a second round of stimulus checks to people. Of course, they're going to keep this going until they turn on the switch for this new digital economy. And of course, they'll be able to airdrop money to people, free money. So that's how they're going to start this system. And anybody who's been watching crypto and understand the purpose of it, know that's how you're going to get the masses to buy in on it. Now, going over also the USDA, I felt that this was an interesting topic. Allowed food to spoil while food banks needed food. So this allows you to see where America is basically headed. Stock market is going up, unemployment going down, USDA letting food spoil while people are hungry and they need food out of work. So that's a crazy, crazy world that we live in. But guys, that's all I have for you. Don't forget about the books, Cryptoteacher, also the NWO book. Don't forget about the website, btcteacher.com. And don't forget about the book is on there. Also, you can learn the cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance, also stocks, the ones that are making it through the storm. Of course, your chip stocks, they need that for 5G. Also, the gaming. You also have Cobalt. The banks, never bet against them. Right now, of course, everybody's sitting at home. You want to invest in those stocks. The C word, biotech stocks. Also, basically, when people are depressed, out of work, they drink, they smoke weed. So don't forget about those stocks. And y'all have a wonderful day.